Ooh, we got the Japanese one, huh? Nice. All I can show off is a little version of my first car. All right, welcome to the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, episode 136. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me this week, we have all the way from New Zealand, Chase.
Hello.
Joining us again, because his camera and microphone are deciding to work this time, Chris.
Hallelujah.
And Steven's here, because Steven's always here.
Cowabunga.
Oh, man. It's been a fun week. I ended up spending the first chunk of it in Arizona, and it's way too hot there. I feel really bad for you people. It was like 112 to 115 degrees in the sun. I had no shade. One day was enough. I'll have to go back later, though. But we will jump past that and go ahead and talk about what we've been up to. So we can go through there. And Chase, just because you had listed nothing, I'm going to start with you. What have you been doing? I'll put you on the spot. Enjoy.
Been a bit of a pretty boring week for me, really. Been just like working, and I've been getting a little gaming in though. A lot of Dynasty Warriors, playing
Nice.
the modern ones. Wishing that I could play the older ones though. On a journey, looking to get a retro tank. So they do international shipping, so that's nice.
Oh, cool.
But it's gonna be a bit of a big purchase.
Yeah, I said the highest I would recommend is the 5X. That's
yeah,
a
which
really
is what
good one for most
which is
people's
what we'll
use.
probably get.
Yeah, the only benefit to the 4K, unless you're doing like high end recording like I'm doing for stuff, the HDMI input's great for some older systems, but the majority of older stuff, especially if you're dealing like PS2 and all that, RetroTink 5X is fine.
Yeah. And then still got our weekly Gloomhaven thing going, and then we also recently bought it on digitally, so that way we could play with people online.
We need to hurry up and get it ourselves so we can do that.
Yeah, it's about it for me.
We're slow. All right, Steven, what about you? What have you been up to?
I am still on the daily login train. So I've been playing Zenless Zone Zero, and Christian's gotten way ahead of me on that one. So every time I unlock one character, he unlocks 2 or 3 more.
Oh, stop that.
Oh, that's all you have? I got all these.
But then on the flip side, I've been playing a lot more multiverses than he has. Season 2 just started with Samurai Jack. Yes, they did get Phil Lamar to reprise.
Nice.
That's good. And it sounds like Beetlejuice will probably come out in the next few days because he's supposed to be the next special event coming soon. So I'll definitely let Rachel know about that and see who's voicing him. And then lastly, I made sure, because spoilers kept trying to come out, or my algorithm kept trying to betray me. I finished The Boys season 4. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And then we read about that the second season of Gen V is next year, because season 5 is 2026. But then we're also getting a prequel, Vought Rising. So it's like we're getting plenty of boys in the next few years now. So that's good.
Awesome. All right, Chris, what about you? What have you been up to? Because I know you weren't here last week because of technical difficulties, so we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I'm still looking for a good working microphone. I've dug one out of the basement, and that's the one that you're listening to now.
Which is funny because this one sounds good. Your levels are good. Everything.
Everything's perfect. It's the best microphone you've ever owned.
I bought 2, including a digital a workstation with special plug-in stuff and gain adjusters and quantifiers, and this is the one that I dug out of the basement. It's the best one. Whatever, fine. Anyway,
it's not actually the best, but you're coming through fine. We just like messing with you.
Anyway,
I think he sounds better. The other one sucked. Okay.
Anyway, I've also, as soon as it came out, someone gifted me SNK versus Capcom Chaos. I'm very happy to play that once again.
Wait, that's already out?
Yeah, well, on Steam. It came out on Steam during the announcement.
It's out on Switch and PS4 as of 22nd.
Yeah.
I think I was waiting for the physical copy, but that would be good for the Steam Deck.
There's 2 versions of the physical copy. Pix and Love is doing more of a deluxe one, and then Limited Run will do theirs. That'll come out in 3.5 years. So
most likely, yes. But aside from that, I've been watching SGDQ reels. Yes, but and mostly the awful games done quick stuff or really crazy stuff. Steve pointed me to a really good I Want to Be the Guy fan game that has references that I didn't think were possible in any kind of fan game.
Oh,
I think it was called, what was it called? WannaFest?
WannaFest 22. We won't spoil the games that they used, but if you watch it, it's they basically have reverse engineered Game Maker in order to get these game worlds in there. It was insane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they do stuff that you did not think would be possible with the software they had. So yes, I heartily recommend it.
Okay. That's always a fun little bit. All right. So for me, like I said earlier, I spent a good chunk of the beginning of this week over in Arizona for work, but I did want to shout out. I went over to the Retro Exchange Collectibles and Toys over in Peoria, Arizona. That place is great. It's what I always try and find like retro game stores or toy stores wherever I'm at. The first one I found, I'm not going to name it, but I sent you guys the picture. Like as soon as you walk in, there's signs saying like, all of our prices are based on this, and like they're going to look them up each time and not mark them. I'm like, that's never going to be a good sign. Thankfully, those people I ended up having a fun technical discussion with, and they ended up being kind of cool, but I was still kind of iffy on the place. But I ended up finding this other store, and over in Peoria, they were fantastic. As soon as you get there, it's like, it looks like it used to be a warehouse. And I was like, that's always a good sign because this place is probably huge. And it was. There were so many toys, so many games everywhere. The people were great. I was talking to them for a while. I ended up coming back twice and spent a bunch of money there. I found a 2DS for Jennifer, which I tested out. They tested out, but then I did not think to try the sleep mode and found out when you put it in sleep mode, it shorts it out and shuts it off. So I got to fix that. And I also didn't know the software was modded. So I guess I'll be able to put a bunch of games on Gen Switch. So, hey, that works out. They were good people, though. I finally bought a buttload of Transformers from there. They talked me into a couple of those. So I got a really good new Megatron figure. I got my 86 Bumblebee and a few other things. So
you bought more than meets the eye?
I did. I bought a bunch. I got a bunch of comic books too, a bunch of Ghostbusters ones. And then I found they had a bunch of issues of, what was it, the Mega Man Powered Up? I guess the cartoon had a comic book. So I got those for Jennifer. So she lost her mind when I gave her those. But yeah, if you're in the area, I highly recommend them. And I guess I was talking to him enough. Whenever I was leaving and saying bye, the dude hugged me and I'm like, that's a good sign. He hugged me and I'm like, today. I'm in. I'll do that. I'm a hugger. I try not to do it because people get awkward. And he went to hug me and I'm like, yes, okay. I have no qualms with that. That's fine. Hopefully I should be back in that area at some point later for work. So I'll have to swing back by and see him again. But they are actually following us on Twitter. So hopefully they'll actually hear this. So that was kind of cool. Maybe we'll have some fans, or at least somebody that listens to us. Beyond that, Amanda and I yesterday went early, or not yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, I think. Early in the morning on Friday. Yeah, it was yesterday. To watch Deadpool and Wolverine. We ended up going to a 10 a.m. showing because she had to go to work that night. I will not spoil anything. Do not worry. Other than the fact Deadpool and Wolverine are in it. Kind of given already. I heard some complaints that the movie was too violent. And I still have to say, when you have two main characters that can literally be dismembered, blown up, burned, whatever, and they always tend to get back up, that's kind of going to happen because violence really has no consequences at that point. You just get gratuitous and have fun with it.
I didn't like that football game. There's too many players on the field.
They kept throwing a ball around. I don't know what was going on. But the cameos and the little secrets and stuff everywhere were fantastic. There were some that were hinted at that showed up. Great. Some that I had no clue that completely blew my mind when they showed up, which was fantastic. Great jokes, a really funny at the very end after credit scene. So that's good to know. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, this is the greatest Marvel movie in years. I've still enjoyed a lot of the stuff, but it is great. So have fun with it, and I hope you like seeing blood. So, and then the other thing I've been waiting to watch that I ended up watching during my travels, and that is Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, which this is a Star Trek series that was supposed to be made for kids on Nickelodeon, that the first season had no right to be as good as it was. The second season, which Paramount Plus canceled it, and then Netflix got the rights to it and aired it, is one of the best Star Trek seasons and most congruent Star Trek seasons that's happened in a while, which is kind of funny because we're even talking Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, stuff like that. Like, they managed to cover more topics in a more adult and really well-written way in that season than most of the others. And I'm really hoping they get a third season. They deserve more. So that was great. And lastly, I finally finished my 1986 Transformers the movie Dinobot set, and they are huge. The swoop came in. I've been trying to get these for the past couple of years, collecting them as they come out. I tried to show it from here, but the camera doesn't show very well, but they're big. So I was happy to finally finish that set. So yeah. All right, let's jump into our news then. All right, so we're all familiar with SAG-AFTRA. Well, we went through the whole strike with the movie industry, which finally got settled, but now we have a new one. They have voted to go on strike against video game developers. So this is for all the voice acting in video games, and a lot of those people because of the issues with AI. SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher stated, quote, "We're not going to consent to a contract that allows companies to abuse AI to the detriment of our members. Enough is enough. When these companies get serious about offering an agreement our members can live with and work with, we will be here ready to negotiate." So that went into effect yesterday, I believe. But they did come out with their FAQ. They said, given the close proximity of the calling of the strike with San Diego Comic-Con, the strike rules relating to promotion and publicity services do not apply to promotion and publicity services provided at Comic-Con 2024. So they're not, because this was like the day before Comic-Con started. They weren't like going, all right, all your panels, all your stuff have to be canceled. They're going to let that happen, and then it's hands off, and they're going to negotiate.
Yeah, but that means a lot of people are going to be asked questions about the strike at the panels.
Yep. Probably. Steven, go ahead.
Also, what's interesting that came out is essentially games like Grand Theft Auto 6 are immune from the contract, whether people like it or not, because if the game was any games that started production over a year ago are exempt from the strike. The actors can still decide to cross the line, but because it was done over a year ago, they said some companies have games that cannot be struck due to certain contract terms. It's easier to think about the strike in terms of struck games as opposed to struck companies. The chief contracts officer, Ray Rodriguez, said they're obviously not happy about the GTA 6 exemption, but affirmed that the rule about already in development games exists, saying it was bargained into a legacy agreement created before SAG and AFTRA merged. So,
okay.
So there's some weird exemptions, but it's just going to come down to whether they cross the picket line or if they decide we'll finish the game that's been in development for 12 years or whatever. But
I think part of this also came down to they found, I think it was like EA, part of Activision, and Ubisoft were using AI tools, to release characters and skins and do other stuff when they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, they will not be disciplined for working the games that were started over a year ago, but they may still choose to stand in solidarity with their members. And their employer is prohibited from discriminating against them for that choice. So they can still cross the line and they will not get punished for it. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, it's a whole mess because AI has been such a thing people have been trying to abuse in regards to voice acting. Even with the animated and the movie ones, people were trying to take samples of people's voices, use AI to make them say things they never said, or people.
Yeah, because there was that one where they used that one company. hired Scarlett Johansson, had her do
Oh,
a
yeah.
test, and then they said, no, we're not going to do that. But then they said, we're going to use the data we have, and we made it basically a copy of you, and now she's suing. So it's like, don't do that, guys.
That's exactly what the strike is for.
Yep. But I'm talking about
on the other side, because I saw people even complain about it, is the new college football game came out,
Mhm.
and people said, hey, EA, the fact that you have only like 20 faces for players, but you have 78 for coaches, why don't you use AI to just give us more face options for our players? Like, it's one thing you could easily use because you don't need to use real people if you're creating a player.
True. I mean, that's coming down to...
And I was like,
the
that works
parts of the
fine,
face
because
that
I
you
don't
can
think
mix up
anybody would
with.
get mad that you're making fake faces for a creative face. So it's like, come on.
Well, I think it comes down to, like, if you're using that then to create someone's face and you're like, oh, well, here's how you make this guy's face. That person's face is technically being used at that point, but they're not getting any rights or payment for it if it's their likeness. It's going to kind of go back and forth on that. And it's one thing if you've got a, like you use the ridiculous level of tools in Baldur's Gate to make a face versus, using AI, which could be taking parts for other stuff specifically to make that person's face or those things. But as for the voice one, what I was talking about is like fans were weirdly believing they had the right to take these people's voices because like, oh, well, they're public entities. We can just, make them say what we want and do that. And it's like, it's a weird sense of ownership of somebody else when that's not the case. Like you don't get to just have it because you think it's, oh, I'm doing it for free. It should be fine. So I don't know.
Well, there should be laws in place for marking it as parody at the very least.
Well, there's parody, but some of these are being used, it's almost like the AI when they were doing, we'll just call it inappropriate nudity for some people. It's the verbal version of that, where they're making them say these things that they do not support, they do not agree with, they would not say or want to say. But then now it's being used in their voices and coming out there and supporting these things and doing these things. And it's not always just the companies, though. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of like other countries, that were caught doing that with like what Tom Hanks and a few other people, like putting them in ads, making it look like they're supporting their stuff when they did not have anything to do with it.
Yeah, there's a big question between big difference rather between freelancers and just, individual creatives making parodies and actual companies using, these voices, these facsimiles to basically fool the public. That's a very big difference.
Yeah. And I think some of the other confusion I've seen is people like, I think we've all probably seen these before. There was those videos going on for a while where they had political figures like Biden, Obama, Trump, stuff like that, where they would have them say like ridiculous gamer stuff while they're talking to each other. And there's one thing when you're a public entity, like in government and so forth, and they're doing it, that is more of a parody thing versus a private individual and making him do stuff. Like the whole thing is a mess. And I agree, laws are going to have to be settled in regards to this.
Absolutely. There needs to be a line.
Yes. And I'm hoping this strike, it's going to probably delay some games as it needs to. But I also hope this will help kind of lay a better groundwork to protect the people doing this type of work, because it is a job. It's actual work. People are like, oh, well, I can talk. It's like, that does not even cover what people do for voice acting. There's some ridiculous amounts of things I've seen people do.
There's people who scream and yell and emote until their throat bleeds. So yeah,
literally. So, all right, well, let's move on to our other bit of, I guess, legal news for this. So Bethesda Game Studios workers have unionized. Not the same as the QA union, which happened before. This time it's a wall-to-wall 241 developers, including artists, engineers, programmers, and designers, per the CWA. And Microsoft, as they have stated before, and they have so far thankfully lived up to, have recognized the union. I haven't seen any of them since that have decided to do that they've tried to fight against. I don't know of all the cases. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But yeah, so Bethesda now has a full union. So that's always good. Because we're getting a good number of those now. What was that, Chase?
That's good. I mean, it's a tough industry to work in, especially for developers, designers.
Especially recently, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole geez, how many times did we see companies get completely shut down just because of a crap Metacritic score? It's an unhealthy industry.
Yep, and we'll just go ahead and jump to our next story because that literally is the best way to cross over to that one.
So I put it there.
Yeah, so Humble Games, not Humble Bundle, Humble Games has just been shuttered overnight. The employees had no clue. They just got messages. Some of them didn't know about it until they read the news. So this will not affect the Humble Bundle side of the business because they are together but separated.
GameStop, I think.
Well, Humble Bundle is owned by IGN, I think. They became part of them for part of that.
IGN or GameStop, yeah.
Yeah, because they're more of the sales business side where they get the bundles together, do the deals, things like that. Humble Games was an actual publishing arm. But while it's not going to affect Humble Bundle, it's caused confusion because some of the games are being published or were in development. But they've done stuff like Signalis, Unsighted, Proteus, Ghost Song, Iconfell, Unpacking, Void Bastards, things like that. So all of those titles are kind of in the air as to what's going on now. Developers of Coral Island can't update the Steam version now and likely have to cancel the Switch version because litigation is probably likely, but they were completely just had the rug pulled out from them by
they put a big what do you call it, a PSA they put out there saying they're pissed because this was something that not only did they promise their fans, but they're like, yeah, we're working on it, and then this kind of came out of nowhere, and they're like, we're actually not given access to the Steam backend to put out a update that we promised because it won't let us in now. So they're like, we can't update the Steam version, and we're giving people the option of getting a Steam key because we can't now honor Switch versions that we said we would do. It sucks.
Yeah, and there's been no words on what's going to happen to the rights of all these games or anything that's going on. Are they going to be sold off? Are they just gone? The
response was the worst.
What was their response?
What did they say again, Christian?
This is just a restructuring, and it was not.
Oh God, who said that?
I read it on one of the artists' Twitter, where they got the message, and apparently the parent company basically said it's either a restructuring, refactorization, something like that. They went out of their way to not say
this is normal. This happens all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Nothing to worry about. You're just losing your job.
Yeah, just losing your entire way of life. Which, once again, if they had a union, would probably help give them some protection about these types of things. It may not stop the entire shuttering or all the stuff going on, but there would be rules in place to at least mitigate some of this or give them a path forward or something, They'd probably have to at least be given so much of a heads up. No more of this just, surprise, you woke up and your job's gone, which happens way too often. So, I don't know. I always thought it was weird with Humble Bundle when they started making a publishing arm, because that was happening with a lot of companies. They're like, oh, we want to be a publisher as well. And very rarely have I seen that go well. Steam, I think, is one of the few, but that's because they just quit making games. So are they really still a developer?
Just takes too much money nowadays to make a game. Way too much.
Yeah.
Most of the games they had were smaller indie games, so their budget shouldn't have been that crazy. What do you think? I don't know budgets. I'm not a financier. I am not a game developer. I have no damn clue on that one. So, all right, let's move on to our next one then. So, one thing I do know costs a lot of money is Lego. And Lego has hated my wallet for years and has announced another thing that will take money out of my life. So we're getting a Super Mario World based Mario and Yoshi sprite Lego set. So it looks like Mario riding Yoshi. He's got his cape on, and there's a crank at the front of it you can turn that makes Yoshi's feet walk. Mario kind of hop up and down, and then Yoshi will open his mouth and stick his tongue out and come back in, which I saw a lot of people try and say, oh, it's a fireball. And I was like, you don't know what this is, do you? I've also seen one other person say they're going to put a motor on where that handle is and see how fast they can get it to go before it explodes. So I look forward to that video. This structurally, just seeing how much Lego can take is sometimes kind of fun to watch. I don't know. This sucker is going to be $209.99, and it's coming out October 1st. Which, Stephen, thank you for adding that, because I had no idea when the release date would
be. The product page is up on Lego, and they're taking pre-orders right now.
God, there's so many. Nintendo's surprisingly been coming out with a lot of Lego sets the past couple of years, and I've gotten a bunch of them, but I missed out on the Bowser one. I kind of wish I'd gotten that one because I've seen more of it, and it's really cool.
They also had the brilliant idea finally to do Animal Crossing Lego, which I was like, people are just gonna like collect all the villagers because I saw them in grocery stores.
Yeah, I am terrified to even start that collection because I'm like, once I get in, I'm done. I don't know if I could finish that.
So I made sure I had an idea for it. So I made sure to get all the house sets because that's going to be my Christmas village on my mantle this year.
Oh, nice. If they make the mayor the old turtle, I will probably get that one. I love turtles, so I'm always down for that.
I like turtles.
And anything with frogs. Amanda loves frogs.
Don't roll your eyes, Chris.
We know how bad it is. Whatever.
I can and will.
So, just a quick little add-on here. If they're doing animated sprite sets from like the Super Nintendo or, earlier areas, like, what are some you would like to see? Like, just as kind of an extra bonus little thing. Because I would love to see the Ren animation of Samus from Super Metroid.
Not even that. I want to see the Chozo carrying the morph ball from Super Metroid.
Yeah, I mean, what would the animation be? I guess maybe it could get up.
It's just walking with the morph ball in its
hand. That's right. Okay.
Morph ball could like rotate or something, but that's for me. That's always been like a pivotal like pixel scene. I've always seen people try to recreate from Super Metroid, and that's where the Chozo statue comes alive and carries the morph ball.
Nice. Chris, Chase, you guys got any thoughts or any ideas of what you'd like to see?
For a pixel thing, I'd love to see the Superstar Saga dance, battle thing where they're just doing the thing, Mario and Luigi. I would love to see that, especially with Brothership on the way.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. It'd be a little more complicated to build in Lego form, but would still be pretty funny. Chase, any thoughts?
The first thing that actually came to mind was Metroid as well. So I think, I think for me that would be what I would choose.
Either that or like her gunship and just have it kind of go up and down, and every once in a while Samus just like it opens and she pops up and then goes back in and it closes and just keeps doing that. Kind of a repeatable animation. That will be great. I am going to cost myself a lot of money if they ever do any of these. I'm not helping myself financially.
Lego, if you're listening, don't.
You know what? Do it. My kids can pay for their own college. It'll be fine.
Do it.
Do it. All right. Let's go to the next one. So this is just a friendly reminder that the Xbox 360 store is coming to an end in July 29th. So you got about a day from hearing this. So go grab what games you want from the store. There's a lot of them that are not backwards compatible that will be going away with this. Ones that are backwards compatible will be available, I believe, still through the Xbox One and the Series X through that store. But, licensed games and stuff like that may not carry over as much. But there's a lot of stuff going for like dirt cheap, like $1 or less for some of them even. I'm going to have to go through later. I didn't pull any exact examples because I wanted to turn it on and go through my 360 and see what was on there. But you can look online and see a lot of that stuff too.
Just don't wait until the day before because everybody will be on it.
Yeah, that server is about to get beat like it's never been beat before. It's going to be like a Christmas. 360 Christmas. You guys remember those? Like on Christmas Day, the 360 online would just shut down. Just so many people getting on there, it would just kill it. Oh man. I missed that system. It was a lot of fun. Do you guys have any recommendations for any games you would think people should try and get on there? Any thoughts?
That Contra game made by Arc System Works.
Ooh,
That was a
fun
really good one.
Contra Hardcore?
Yeah.
No, or Hardcore Uprising. That's what
Hardcore Uprising, yes.
like it wasn't Contra.
Yeah, Bionic Commando Rearmed. The first one's not backwards compatible, so this is your last chance to get it. It was weirdly never released physically anywhere. Bionic Commando 2 was. You could get that on a disc in a collection, and it was released on other stuff. And I think Bionic Commando Rearmed you can still get on like PC and stuff. So it's not going away completely, but if you want to play it on a 360, this is your last chance.
Doritos Crash Course.
Oh, boy.
That's been gone. You can't get that for years. Like all those licensed games. Because there was
Toyota Yaris.
I'm about to say there was the Yaris game, which that was super weird. That's been gone.
What about the PopCap stuff from like early days before Plants vs. Zombies? Stuff like Astro Pop, that kind of thing.
They make physicals of those.
Oh.
Some of them, yeah, I think I do have. I have most of the physical collections because I try and find those.
Like Heavy Weapon, Astro Pop, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not about to walk in there, but I know there's a couple in there I could grab.
But this is your last chance to get Darkstalkers Resurrection. So.
There you
So
go.
if you want a new Darkstalkers game, Capcom needs you to buy this 90% off Darkstalkers Resurrection. And they'll think about it.
At least we have the fighting collection now.
Yeah, and there are a lot of games that are hard to find on disc right now that their digital versions were made available on there. So this is your last chance to grab some of those to at least play them, even if they're not collectible.
That's like a secondary reminder. Even if you're not a digital person, I would still recommend looking at that list. And if any of those strike you as, I remember when that's physical and you don't have it, but you want it, get them now before stores realize that they're going to be scarce, and you're going to see that sign saying we're doing price charting, and all their games go up in value.
Yeah, because I mean the cost of 360 games have already been going up. They've been on the increase for a while. They were at a nice sweet low end for a bit, and those days I think are kind of ending. I think the Wii U had a really short version of that where they were cheap for a little bit and then they skyrocketed immediately. Xbox 360 thankfully enjoyed a little bit longer, so I've gotten most of the titles I want, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be picking up a handful of digital games on there just to enjoy. So, and Chase, do you have a 360 hooked up still, or is that back home?
It's back home. Unfortunately, a large chunk of my collection's back home.
Well, the nice thing is you can log in online and still buy these, so you can still get them even if you can't play them right now.
No, definitely will. Definitely look at it. But a game that I probably recommend. I know there's physical copies out there, but for me, it's still probably actually one of my favorite Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Is really good.
I'll have to see
really
how much
good
that
entry
one
in the
is.
series. So I recommend that one.
So just keep in mind when you're buying these games, Xbox Live is not ending. The multiplayer for the games, as long as the company themselves still has their servers or supports it, are still working. You just can't buy them anymore. So if you have
anybody who's reporting to you saying the servers are going down is misinformed. It's just the marketplace.
And there are some particular games that happened, but that's only because the company chose not to use the Microsoft servers. So stuff like Transformers War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron, the online modes for those went away because Activision ended up killing them.
Older Ubisoft and much older EA games.
Yeah. So some titles you may not have multiplayer because of that, but single player will completely work, obviously, as long as there's not some weird thing. And then a lot of multiplayer should still work for a while. So give it a go. All right, let's jump into this last little bit of news that I wanted to go into for just gratuitous reasons. Let's talk San Diego Comic-Con toy announcements. I pretty much added this because I'm a toy nerd and I was just super happy to see some of these. So Agent Knight is a Knight Rider Transformer that was shown off and is coming out. And yes, it does have a working swishing red light in the front, which is great. So it looks like the original Trans Am. I'll probably add this to my other ones because they've had a pretty good run of like pop culture Transformers crossing over. I think the only one that really felt like a miss to me was the Top Gun F-15. Like that just looks horrendous. I don't know why. Like I would have rather they just copied Starscream. Even the movie Starscream would have been better. This thing was terrible. But Knight Rider is now joining Ecto 1 from Ghostbusters. They've got the Ninja Turtle van from that, which I got recently. They even had like the pizza van from Stranger Things that turned out surprisingly not bad. So they keep doing little pop culture stuff. I'm still waiting on the A-Team van and Airwolf. I mean, come on. They could do
that's a blast from the past.
Yeah. But I mean, think about it. We're talking about what 1980s vehicles. The A-Team van I think would be good. Airwolf, they've done good helicopters before. Why couldn't they do that?
With all these transforming vehicles, they should just bring back what was that cartoon called, Chris? Teen Porsche.
Oh, I forgot about that.
God, talking about the kid that turned into a car when he got wet.
Turbo Teen, something like that.
Turbo Teen, that's right.
Turbo Teen, yay! There we go.
Oh
God, the transformation freaked me out as a kid. I was like, "What is happening to this guy?"
If they're gonna do Airwolf, what was that other one with Owen Wilson and Jack Black was the talking motorcycle?
Oh, what was it? Heat Vision and Jack.
Yeah,
directed by Ben Affleck of all people.
Oh God, yeah, that was.
I wish that came out.
Another vehicle they need at San Diego Comic-Con. There you go.
I don't even know how that would work. But yeah, like it'd be kind of cool if they crossed over with other cartoon series. Like they're doing Ninja Turtles. Like let's get some old He-Man vehicles in there. There was like, what was it? The Ram Battle, the blue vehicle that the front would pop off and become like a flying jet ski thing. Like let's do that. And
I'd love the Thunder Tank.
Yes.
To just turn into a big ass like cat robot.
Oh God, I love that. The Thunder Tank was one of the toys I wanted so bad as a kid I didn't get. I did get the Thunder Tank of the newer series that got canceled, which is a good Thunder Tank. It's not a bad one. I did get that. And then Hot Wheels made a scale version of the Thunder Tank you can get this die cast that opens up and has the weapons and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, you should find that one. They also did a couple of the He-Man vehicles like that. I was like, I would love to go back and collect like little Hot Wheels die-cast vehicles of old playset toys because they're so much easier to display and look at. So, yeah. Moving on from that, of course, we've got more Transformers that were announced. There was a bunch announced. But the biggest one, literally, that got me is the announcement of the 86 movie, Transformers movie, Devastator is coming. Mind you, if these things are already in scale, Devastator is going to be freaking huge. They have not shown him yet. They announced that he's coming next year, and they showed the animated version from the movie. They did say it will be released over 2025 as the 6 different releases. So they're going to be individually boxed, which means they're going to be a pain in the ass to find them all because people are going to hoard these things. And more than likely, they'll probably come out with a big box set the next year of like some different color that's all of them together, which they keep doing. But that thing's got to be massive. Probably, I don't know if it'll be up to the Unicron toy size, not literally in comics. Unicron's a planet, but he's one of the biggest Transformers you can get right now. But yeah, I can only imagine how expensive this is going to be because it's probably going to be like $50 a piece. So he's going to end up costing me a few $100s. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing that I don't know the price or release date for, but I'm afraid to find out because I'm going to probably get this. McFarlane Toys is making a life-size Batman 89 cowl. And they showed it off, and I don't know if it's wearable, but so help me God if it is, you will see me on the show with it at least once.
I wonder how many people who buy that are going to turn on the Batman animated series theme and just go,
I am the knight.
Oh, if they did the animated series cowl, that'd be great. But we'd have to do I don't know. I might play Bat Dance while I'm doing it. Yeah.
Oh
Let's get
boy.
some Prince in here. You're going back to the 60s then. That's a whole
Justice
different
for the
thing.
side of spaghetti.
And then another thing that I was actually really surprised to see, because it's always been tied up in legal issues, is Rom the Space Knight is finally getting a new figure. Because they have been a legal nightmare between Hasbro and Marvel for the rights of the character, because Marvel was tied in with the comics where a lot of the story and designs were from, but then they based that off of a Hasbro toy that they had made way back in the day. So it kind of went back and forth between them, and it seems like they finally made peace and are releasing a Space Knight toy based on the comics, but will come with a bunch of the extra accessories that the old toy had. We've only seen a render so far, but it looks really good. I'm hoping the actual figures release will be up to snuff, because that is one I would like to get. Rom is kind of one of those weird comics I used to read as a kid that most people aren't really familiar with. Like, you get some hardcore comic book fans. Don't take it the wrong way, Chris, but I kind of assumed you'd be the only other person I know of that really kind of is at least familiar with the existence of Rom.
Yes,
you're
but
the
I didn't
comic
read
books.
the comics.
Right.
I
Don't
didn't
take it
read
wrong. You're just the
I
only
was-
other big comic book guy I know other than Brent.
Fair.
That's not a stereotype. It's just observation. I'm just as bad. Have Chase or Steven, have either of you guys ever heard of Rom the Space Knight?
I download ROMs. And I need space.
You do it at night?
No.
Oh, well, okay. So you completely ruined that joke. Chase, what about you?
I've heard of it, but yeah, I've never actually read it
I've,
or
ne-
looked
I've
into
never
it.
heard of it.
I have a couple Marvel comics, like specifically like the space-based ones like Quasar and stuff like that, where he just showed up. He was just part of it. And I think I got a hold of a couple of the actual ROM Space Knight issues, but he was usually a guest in something else. But it was, as I grew up, I kind of learned more about the weird legality of when he can be used or not. I think people even wanted him to show up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they're like, nope, it's not happening. So maybe one day. We got a toy that's leading the way. And the last little bit of toy news, because Rachel and a few other people sent me this immediately. Mondo is releasing a really, really nice set. There's two of them so far, of the real Ghostbusters. We're getting Peter Venkman, who's coming with Slimer and one of the other ghosts, and then Egon, who's coming with a different one of their villains. I don't remember the names of the ghosts off the top of my head. I remember them specifically because one of them is like a big face troll looking guy, and the other one is the guy with the pumpkin head. I have them in my Tobin Spirit Guide. I just don't remember the names off the top of my head. Yeah, my Spirit Guide's not here, so I'm not going to look it up. But they're, really big, super detailed animated versions of both of those characters. I have no idea how much they're going to cost me. I'm going to try and get them because why not?
If one of them has a pointy nose, I think that's the boogeyman.
It may be. Big blue guy. I recognize
this
them.
was more like a red mohawk came out of the closet.
He did have blue skin, though, I think.
Did he?
I think so. He had blue skin, kind of jokery looking lips.
He looked
And
very
his head was
jokery.
way bigger than the rest of
Yeah, he definitely was, and I think that was the boogeyman.
Oh, let me look it up. Because I think you're right. Yep, Boogeyman. And then the pumpkin-headed one, I'm trying to remember what his name was.
I wonder if that's to the book. Probably not.
Samhain. That's what it was. Yeah, it was one of the big bads from Real Ghostbusters that was kind of trying to get brought over for other stuff. They all look fantastic. Slimer looks really great. I kind of think his mouth moves. Like you can actually open and close it a little bit, but I'm not sure. I've only seen
So it's the Real Ghostbusters featuring Slimer.
As far as I can tell, Slimer comes with Venkman, which seems fitting. I'm curious if we're going to get a slimed version of these. I kind of want to get them, but I also want to know for sure, and it probably won't be till next year, like where is Winston and Ray? Because Ray is the one I like the most. That's my favorite Ghostbuster of all of them. I like getting the sets of them, but I try and get Ray if I can only get one. And I'm very curious which ghosts and accessories that Ray and Winston will come with. God help me if they make an Ecto 1 for this. Oh, that's become an addiction.
Then they'll make a firehouse for $1,000.
I used to have the firehouse until my brother got it after I had to leave, after I was kind of booted out. And I don't know if it's still at the house or not. They won't let me get it back. Or if my grandmother threw it out along with a bunch of my other stuff. I have no idea.
I just had the toys where you squeeze their arms or their legs and their eyes bugged out.
The Scare series. I found my Ray of that earlier today. Still have the ghost that clips into him that activates it for some of the features. Oh no, mine was the activated fear ones. I know which ones you're talking about. I've got Janine, Vankman, and a couple of the other ones, and then I have
Vankman's hair would.
Yeah, so would Janine's. I've got the real Ghostbusters with their gray and kind of colored uniform sets, and I think I have a couple of the original animated figures as well. I was a big Ghostbusters person as a kid. That has not changed as I've grown up. So I don't know. I've seen some cool stuff, and I would like to get the firehouse again. I just don't know where the hell I'd put it. I'd have to build a shelf for that and put it up on the wall. So, any of these toy announcements catch anyone else's attention, or is this more of just my gratuitous?
Probably not those, but one that got everybody interested is they're making a Kane and Raziel statues that are interconnect to look like they're fighting each other. But that's not the most interesting part, because when you look at the base on the bottom, it says it's from the Legacy of Kane Remastered series. And everybody's like, does that mean you're making a game? So it's got everybody up in arms wondering if like something got licensed and didn't get announced yet. But the statues look incredible because you connect them to each other and they look like they're fighting on like a rocky mountain.
Well, that's ironic given part of the big question this week. Awesome. I did not know. I haven't seen anything about that.
We'll have to look into
that popped up on X and then started trending. And I was like, why is this game trending? I was like, oh, that's because the figures on the bottom say remaster.
Yeah, because like Comic-Con's going on right now. Like we're going to get a bunch of Marvel announcements tonight after the show and other stuff. So we're going to have more stuff to talk about next week. But I've been trying to search. I've been looking on Twitter and a few other places, just trying to keep up with their announcements, and I didn't see that one. Most of it has been Hasbro because that's a lot of what I follow. So I've seen, G.I. Joe, Transformers, things like that, Ghostbusters stuff. Even if I didn't catch it, people have been sending it to me. A lot of different video game toy announcements and stuff like that as well. But yeah, there's usually so many things announced there. We'll have to see.
R.I.P. Wallet.
Wallet is already dead. This is just bringing it back to life to kill it again. So
we've come for your dollars, Chuck.
Rachel would love that joke. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the big question. Wrong one.
That was still pretty good, though.
It was. I don't know why I keep hitting that one, but I need to fix the audio of our stuff. I've been trying to find the files because they're on my old computer. I had them on here for so long. When I switched computers, they were already there. Anyways, let's get into the big question. So, given Comic-Con and the announcements of all these different movies and so forth, which we will have more trailer and movie announcements next week, I just wanted to wait till we had a good rundown of all of them to kind of talk about. What is a game series that hasn't had a movie or show developed before that you would love to see treated to either a movie or a show? So existing ones won't count and can't be remade. So there'll be no Mario, no Zelda, no Shenmue, surprisingly, because I forgot that had an anime. So Chris, let's start with you. What would you like to see?
Okay, so theoretically this is in the pipeline.
It's been in the pipeline forever.
Yes, but I would love to see Metroid, just the story of Samus. Maybe it could be regular Metroid, it could be Super Metroid, it could be Prime, any of those versions to be made into a series, because there's just so much in the way of sci-fi that you could do with that, and there are so many bosses, so many just antagonists. If you could even do the hunters thing,
Yeah.
where you could, just have the rivals go at it. The thing is, though, I don't know who I would want to play Samus. The thing is, they'd have to be directed well, not the way they were in Other M. So
The baby.
I'm sure that direction went well with, Japanese sensibilities, but it just didn't work for an American audience, I don't think.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they tried to take like a House of the Dragon approach to it, because the manga for Metroid, which has never been localized, kind of did all the like history of the Chozo, raising her, and I would love a series that at like the end of all the seasons you finally see her put on the armor or something like that. That would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a cool one. Let me ask you this, Chris. Would you rather see a live action with really good special effects, or do you want them to stick with a fully animated, be it either, probably would be CG at this point, CG animated movie where they could kind of get away with more stuff? But
Given how many of the critters and aliens and everything are just, supernatural in origin, I would probably prefer animated. But if they did like an MCU level movie, then I'd be cool with live action. But it would have to be a standalone thing. Like if they did Zero Mission or just Metroid 1, I'd be fine with an MCU level movie.
yeah, I kind of worry they would bog it down with an origin stuff. Maybe if they could find a way to condense it to some flashbacks as they go along. But yeah, that
I'll throw my name into the hat saying,
oh,
if they did animated, then they would need to get Jennifer Hale as Samus Aran.
okay. You think she could do the full bit for that?
Yeah, she's got the chops. That's Commander Shepard right there, so I think she can do it.
If John Woo is one of our 35 viewers, get on it.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to have to get over the fact Samus would talk more than they would expect. She's not going to be a silent protagonist of the entire thing. So let's get that out of the way now. All right. Steven, what about you? What is your choice?
So a lot of the good ones have been taken and made into horrible 80s cartoons or failed pilots. So I can't pick a lot of those. But going on more of the serious side, just because I enjoyed the games themselves, I wouldn't mind a Splinter Cell in the style of 24.
That'd be cool.
Because Splinter Cell's always been known to have a lot of urgency, where they're like, you need to get here, and this person's about to detonate this. So I think it would translate really well. The other one, and I don't know why they haven't just plastered this on there, but we have so many shows that are about like a team. So you have SWAT, you have The Wire, you have like, all these ones that are just like this team of people are taking on these tense situations. I'm like, why don't you just do a Rainbow Six? Like it lends itself. But I think the problem with these two is the author is passed away. So I don't know how these rights are even negotiated anymore with Tom Clancy.
Yeah, because we've been waiting just to get a new Splinter Cell game, and the most we've gotten is like, he's an extra character in this other game. Like, just
he's in a mobile game right now. But
yeah. God, I love Splinter Cell. I missed that one.
I wouldn't want to. I think for both of those franchises, I wouldn't really want to see them in like a TV show format. I think there's actually a Splinter Cell movie that they're talking about in the pipeline, but I don't know if it'll actually happen.
I kind of see Steven's point though. With Splinter Cell, might work well as like a HBO style like series, because you would be able to kind of draw out the missions and have parts where he's sneaking through but still expand the story. A movie would feel kind of condensed, where you would. I don't know.
But part of the problem with TV, in my opinion, this is just wholly my opinion, but part of the problem with TV for me is that you have this issue of, if they go on for too long, then they don't become grounded. These two franchises, particularly, Tom Clancy's always been grounded in realism.
True.
Eventually, the problem is that like, what original ideas are you going to come up with that are grounded in realism? Like I watched an episode of, to use Swan's point, SWAT. there was a hostage situation. This is like the only 5-minute clip that I saw of the series, and it was enough for me to say I don't ever want to see this thing again. There was a guy. It was a hostage situation. This guy's holding this girl hostage at a window, and some dude decides to get a helicopter. He's standing on a helicopter, like probably like 200 yards away, 200 meters away from this window, and shoots off of the helicopter to like save this girl's life or whatever. I was just like, this would never happen. This would never happen at all. So
That's
how the
beauty of
hell?
movies and television, though.
How the hell can you like? This dude just pulled off this like precision shot with like from like 200 meters away while on a helicopter, which doesn't sit perfectly still, even when it's hovering. Like it was just, I was like, no, absolutely not.
On the other side of it, I would look at something like Reacher, where you had a couple of the movies, which they were kind of
Reacher's really good,
but the stories were not really there. But then you have the series of Reacher, which was able to expand that. You can get more in the backgrounds of the characters and the people that are in it. It still felt grounded, even though he is a massive tank of a human being, because he's supposed to be. Cruz was a weird. I think he just got in on that name alone. He was so much smaller than he should have been.
He also wants to be the gritty. He wants to be the gritty version of Batman, and I was like, "Oh, please!"
I agree. He would. I think he would be a great
Alan Ritchson
Batman.
Is an amazing actor. I really like him.
I'm not kidding.
And
he's a tank of a human
I actually
being.
choose him for a series that I'm going to talk about later.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into
season 2.
then.
They're supposed to find a guy that's bigger than him. They're supposed to dwarf him, and they found somebody.
You mean
I can't wait.
3?
Season 3, whatever.
Yeah.
Season 6, season 8.
Good God.
Yeah,
seasons 1 and 2 were good.
He slimmed down a little bit. For season 1, he was massive, and then season 2, he was a little bit smaller. But I think that's because he's getting a lot more roles now because Reacher's gotten so popular. So he probably can't just stay jacked for everything.
I think he's got some time to still be a terrifyingly large human being.
Yeah.
He's like super friendly from everything I've seen. It's like I love that dichotomy where, this guy is so imposingly large. You're just like, he could kill me without a thought, but he's super nice to everybody. Like he's a gentle giant.
He's pretty. He was a hell of a pick for Reacher. I really enjoy that series. It's one of the few TV series that I actually enjoy watching. I'm not a TV person.
Superhero wise, like he did a really good job in Titans, which was a show that I really enjoyed. It started off kind of rough, but I liked it at the end. But he played Hawk with Hawk and Dove, and he did a really good job with that. And that's where I was like, yeah, he would be a great Batman for that. But Chase, let's go ahead and jump into yours then for your picks.
So I picked Metal Gear Solid because it's one of my favorites to play.
Another one they've been trying forever.
Yeah, I think that's another one that there's probably like 3 or 4 attempts in the pipeline. Who knows if it's actually going to happen.
This one's gotten farther. They got the guy from Kong Skull Island to be the director, Jordan Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And they've at least cast Solid Snake because it's Oscar Isaac.
Well, I read about that earlier. He's kind of backed out of it since because it's taken so long.
Because he's not doing anything else though. But I know they might be picking another guy. But this is one of those that even Hideo Kojima himself, of course, is the writer on it.
So
he used to be, yeah,
one of them.
I always had an interesting take on Metal Gear Solid because if they did the Solid and Liquid, I would actually cast. And now, especially after Furiosa's come out and proven to me that he can do it, I would cast the Hemsworth brothers. I don't think it would ever happen, but
I see what you're going for.
You could have Chris with the longer hair, and he actually does do a villain role pretty well. And then you could have Liam as the actual Solid Snake. I think that'd be a great fit. I don't think it would ever happen, obviously, but
that's an interesting take on the.
You should get David Hayter to be Otacon.
That would be fantastic. And then my other one, obviously, we just got to playing it. There's no way I couldn't ever mention it. Gears of War. Absolutely not. Unless he's going to play Dom, I would be fine with that.
He's skinny now, though, because he let his muscles go away.
Well, they would just slap his head on a CG body and just go from there.
Well, to be fair, that's probably what they'd have to do anyway, because there isn't that many people that are that jacked that could, like...
Or
look
how
the
heavy
part.
would those costumes be?
Oh,
We haven't revealed even the title yet. Or the game.
Good point. You haven't actually said what game it is
I
yet.
said Gears of War.
Yeah, he said Gears.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It was just I think we all knew what was coming. But
I could only imagine everybody wearing these huge suits and just like looking all. The same thing would happen if they made Warhammer into a series.
yeah.
They'd
Well,
have to
Warhammer-
make all these huge, gargantuan suits.
We
They
have
probably all have to be
Warhammer movie
styrofoam.
coming out right now that's
Oh.
being made. Henry
Henry
Cavill is producing and starring in it.
Cool.
Is it a movie or is it a TV series? I can't remember.
I
It
don't.
might be a
which one it is.
series.
I know he's
on
going
one
for
of the streaming
accuracy.
services.
The only
Yeah.
reason I think the Gears of War suits could be doable is because, and like, I'm not saying like they're doing it better, but like I've seen really good cosplays that look bulky and of that size, and they're still able to look, good. So I think it would be doable. Obviously, these people aren't going to be as big as they're shown in the games.
Yeah.
But as long as they're scaled appropriately, I think it would still look good.
I guess the question would be is like I don't know who I would cast as Marcus. That's always been like the question, right? Like
money, they'd probably try and get The Rock.
yeah. See, I don't want see
I
like
don't agree, but I was like, they would try.
Yeah, for instance, like obviously Cole, I would probably pick Terry Crews. I think that would be like I think he's got the right personality for that role.
He could. I could see that.
And then for Baird,
What about Carl Urban for Dom?
He's a Kiwi. He's not. He's not actually.
doesn't-
He's not Mexican or Hispanic in any way. Like,
He can be whoever you want.
You
to
said
be.
for
Dread,
Dom,
too.
yeah.
but I was thinking actually Alan Richardson for Baird. I think would be perfect. I think he's got the look. He looks actually sort of similar.
Just give him a blonde cut.
And he's really good at playing a smartass, as Reacher has proven. So I think he's like the perfect cast for that role.
We don't need Baird being bigger than everybody else, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking he's already jacked, so like he's like one of the few people in this world that actually look the part. Yeah, I just don't know who you do as Marcus and Dom.
And they should get Sean Bean to be Carmine.
Make him every Carmine as they go along, just with the helmet, until he finally has his face being shown. Oh my god!
Well, yeah, but the only problem is those Ben doesn't die, so he couldn't be Ben Carmine.
if we go back to Gears 5, then we can just get Goldberg to be Baird.
Oh yeah,
he would be perfect for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
I love it. All right, so for mine, the main one I was thinking of with this is the Legacy of Kain series, which is funny that you mentioned the statue and the possible remake, Stephen, because I had no idea about that. And just coincidentally, that's what I was thinking of, because I was going through my game collection going like, what would I want? And so many things I came across, I found out they had some obscure anime or some weird little, weird thing they did. But this one I've seen nothing. And I think it would be good as a 2-season series, with the first season actually following, the rise and everything of Kain and how he becomes corrupted and all the stuff goes from there. And then the second season can have the time jump to when Raziel comes back after the betrayal at the end of the first one. And you can kind of have his journey going up against Kain and the others that were there. And I think that could be a fun way to kind of explore and see that world. I think a movie or even 2 movies would feel rushed because there's so much interplay between the different characters, who's betraying who's, killing off someone for power and so forth, and the exploration. The only thing I think will be missing is, sadly, the guy that did the voiceover for Legacy of Kain is no longer with us. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but his voice was so unique. He was in Star Trek a lot as well. I'll have to try and look that up, but we'll find it later.
I know one of the actors passed away. I think it was Tony Ray.
I believe so.
He always talked to Raziel.
He's got that real deep voice, I think.
Yeah, he played Shere Khan.
Yes, I believe that's the one. Let's see here. I'm trying to look voiceover actors. But yeah, that's a series I think would be fun to kind of explore, because you could have, they've got all this attention to detail for that kind of styling with like Game of Thrones and everything, but then you also have the science fiction side of it with vampires and all the different creature powers, and especially if they get to the second season with Raziel and you're jumping between worlds, just like morphing between the two dimensions and using the spirit realm to get around, I think would look great.
Actually, I actually really agree with that. I love the Legacy of Kain series. It's a really good series.
And I was kind of debating, like, I think this is something with the medium that they could pull off a good version with actual live action. I didn't take enough time to think about who would actually play these, as you guys apparently did. But I mean, CG would be cool, but I think they could actually do this with live action given our technology now. Even Raziel, with most of his face gone, being able to pull back and bring in things or whatever, could be done, just take more special effects, but we've done way more nowadays. So yeah, that's the one I think would be fun to see.
So I'm looking up some articles because this has got me thinking. and they were talking about how Netflix picked up the rights to Gears of War, and they were throwing around some names on these articles. Joe Manganiello, who played Deathstroke in the now abandoned DCEU.
Yes, that's another.
He'd be a good Baird, I think. But for Marcus, since they usually need an older guy, what about Josh Brolin?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
That'd be perfect. Actually,
he made a great Cable, so why not?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit shorter than you'd expect, but I mean, they hadn't stopped him otherwise.
He's got the lower kind of deep voice too that I think would be fine for Marcus.
And keep in mind, you can always do movie magic because Robert Downey Jr. was very short, and they managed to skirt past that in the movies.
Tom Cruise is very short, and he makes it where it looks like he's taller and everything. They've been doing that since the 80s.
I think every single Logan should be played by The Rock, so we can just see him die over and over again.
Oh my god! Wow, tell us how you feel, Steven.
Jeez,
it'll be a successful movie for him.
Yeah, first one in a while.
Oh, god,
every movie that he's in is successful. Though Swan, he never fails at anything.
That's true. Yeah, Black Adam and
Rampage. Say, except Black Adam.
No, it was a success according to him.
Yeah,
it's so successful it killed off the entire series.
He's in multiverses at least, so you can beat him up for what he's done.
He's as successful as Tom Cruise was in The Mummy.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up the show for tonight. So pretty much if you are listening to this and would like to watch it, go over to youtube.com/ZenspathCom, where you can watch the video version of this that we post every time. Leave us a thumbs up, leave us comments so we can talk with you about this. Share it with your friends as well if you've got that. And watch it to the end if you can, because that helps with our stats as well. Subscribe. You can check the little bell and all that stuff for notifications when we post other stuff. If you're watching this and you'd like to actually be able to download or listen to the audio version of it, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. Search for the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we will be there. You can download the show, leave us a review, leave us a little 5-star review on there if you want. Tell us what you think, maybe answer some of the big questions or something for yourself. Let us know what you think. And if you want to talk with us, you can find us on Twitter at Zenspath Podcast. That's for the actual show's podcast. All of our individual information where to find us is found either in the notes below the episode on YouTube or in the notes for whatever podcast app you downloaded. Or you can go over to bit.ly/Zenspath Discord to join our Discord and talk to us directly there, where we're always posting stuff talking about 3D printing or what games we're playing, comic book artwork we've seen, whatever, topics we go into. And we play a lot of multiplayer games in there as well. So maybe you could join us playing some games on that way. All right. This has been episode 136 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Release a Team Buddies movie.